Hello, this is Kathy with Duality Unfolding, and I have a reading for you that is about what you are resisting. If you have been feeling not stuck, but like kind of irritable or just kind of like this weird energy around, like kind of feeling unsatisfied, kind of mad, but you're not sure why you're mad. It feels like that, like woke up on the wrong side of the bed kind of energy. And like the way the energy came through me was just like realizing that I was irritable, but there was nothing that like happened for me to be irritable. And I realized it was in the collective. And so I was listening to an astrology podcast and from Molly McCord. If you follow her, or if you are looking for a new astrologer who has a podcast that always, like, she is always on point with like the energy and the information. She's an intuitive astrologer. But in the podcast for this week, she talked about how there's a lot of resistance, and that like it's hard to process because there's part of us that's like ready to go, ready to go, ready to go and ready to grow. But obviously not ready to talk like a normal person. And so like this resistance it's essentially like things that we need to shed that we're not consciously aware that we need to shed. And so it feels like that kind of irritability, like that discomfort. I think of it as the tight sweater analogy. Like that's how I explain it. Like if you've ever worn a sweater with like a shirt underneath, and like like one of them is just like it's one of them's too tight or it's uncomfortable, and you can't you can't figure out like why the layers aren't working, because the last time you wore it this was fine, and like you can't go home and change right now, so you're just kind of uncomfortable. And you feel like a mad toddler. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But if you are like feeling that kind of energy where it's like, I'm just like, there's nothing wrong, I don't know what to fix, I'm just really irritated right now, but also I'm ready to like go, I'm ready to do things, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like we can also blame this on the eclipse, just saying, and Mercury retrograde. But this reading is for you. If you're feeling all of those feels. So we're going to be looking at tarot cards and oracle cards, specifically what are we resisting in this present moment, like a clarifier around that, what needs to be released, how are we evolving, and then some guidance from your inner child, as well as your shadow self, and then 2 cards for like rest and dreaming. So really letting all the parts of us kind of show up and have some voice, and give us some guidance on, you know, like what we need to be doing, and really kind of, you know, wrapping it up with a little bit of like, how do we care for ourselves, and how do we just use this stuck time to dream a little bit. So as you can see, I have 3 groups for you to choose from. And so each of the cards that you can see the backs, it's for the tarot decks that I'll be using. And so group number 1, like your choosing option, is this little labradorite seahorse. Look how cute this little guy is. So seahorses represent good luck and kind of magic, because they're like little dragons. And then group number 2, I have this selenite snake. This little guy. And snakes represent change and grounding. And group number 3, I have this obsidian owl. And owls represent wisdom and vision, perspective. So these are the 3 options for you. Take all the time that you need as usual. Timestamps are below, and then I will see you guys in the readings. Hello, group number 1. So if you chose the labradorite seahorse, this is your reading. So let's look at what you are resisting in this present moment. Okay, and then our clarifier. Okay. So 5 of Swords, not 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands. Sorry. Having some cable problems. Okay. So 5 of Wands is a card of drama. As we can see, there's some fighting going on. There's some kind of a little bit of chaos, disorganization. Maybe they're not fighting. Maybe they're trying to put together some kind of structure, but like nobody knows what's going on right now. And there's a lack of agreement. Like there's no clear direction. There's, it's just kind of chaos. It's kind of chaos. So, this clarifier, the Queen of Swords, Queen of Swords is she's really a very high level communicator and a high level thinker. She's got a lot of clarity about things, but she also doesn't hold back her words. She isn't going to she's not going to give unsolicited advice, but I almost feel like these should be switched, because what the energy feels like is that there's chaos all around you and you're resisting like speaking up about it. So you might be resisting saying something to this group, because like this queen is a higher position than these folks, right? So you might be someone that's in a position of authority as far as like people see you as credible. People value the things that you say and think. You might have more experience about this issue than these people do. And you're really resisting speaking up. You might be in a position where like you... The thing that I heard was the Queen of Wands just being like, hey, cut it the fuck out. Like she's beyond tired of like watching this. It almost feels like this is the energy of like that mom that is just kind of like just really worn out, and the kids are home because it's like a holiday or like the summer, and like none of them are getting along, and they're just like fighting to entertain themselves, but also they're just like doing things to annoy her because they're annoyed, and she has just had it, and she's just like, that's it, everybody's taking a nap, and it's that kind of energy where it's like she's so done that. And it scares everybody that like nobody wants to say that they don't want to take a nap. They're just going to lay there and pretend to sleep because mama is not happy. And they know, that like this kind of upset behavior from mama is not normal. And that like they done fucked around and found out. So if you were a parent, maybe you're resisting telling your kids to cut it out. This could be like your friend group. This could be a family. This could be your work situation. But what I'm feeling is that you, in this present moment, you are resisting speaking up and really telling this group, this drama, whatever it is, to cut it out. And so I think, I feel like for some of you that feels like, whoa, like it's not my place to tell people what to do, which I get, unless you're like, let's say you're a school teacher, then it very much is your responsibility. If you're a manager, absolutely. Parent, yes. If these are your friends, if this is a friend group that's just like having all this drama, as part of this group of people, like you are completely entitled to not necessarily maybe tell them how they need to act, but what you can tell them is, hey, there's been a lot of drama going on and I am not here for it. And honestly, it's exhausting. So if you want to sit down and talk about it, I am happy to mediate. I'm happy to listen. But if you guys just want to fight for the sake of fighting, leave me out of it, because this is, I'm over it. I'm done. And it kind of feels like this is something that's been building for a while. She's got all these clouds around her, so she's kind of in this elevated perspective. And so it almost feels like what I'm getting is like the boiling point, which it feels like this has been a long time coming. The need for this to be addressed and for someone to be like, hey, cut it out. It feels like it's been a long time coming. And I say boiling point because it takes a long time for water to get to a boil. And then once it starts to steam, which is what these clouds are making me think of, like that, you don't just turn the oven on and like the water's boiling 2 minutes, right? Like if you've ever like cooked something where you needed to boil the water, the more water you have, the longer it takes to boil, right? The longer the heat needs to be applied before the bubbles start and the steam starts. So that's why I feel like this has gotten to like a boiling point for you, that maybe this has been going on for long enough and like you might need to say something, or you might need to take this sword and cut your losses. I feel like there's a communication element to it either way, and that whatever the situation is, you know what is best for you. Like, you might know that like you just need to say something and say, hey, until you guys have sorted out this drama, don't invite me over. Just don't. And so it's like you're not cutting these people off, but you are saying like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't want to come over every Sunday and it ends in like an argument. Like, that's not, I don't want that. I want to see everybody, but I don't have time for that nonsense. You might, I feel like, especially if this is a work situation, you might need to cut your losses and start looking for another job instead of trying to guide, help, direct, clarify, correct any of the stuff that is creating all this drama. Because I feel like for a work situation, this feels like you're a mid-level manager and upper management has created this, but they've looked to you, they've pushed the creation of a solution onto you. So there's an expectation for you to fix a problem you didn't create, and like you're done. Like it's like, no, I'm good. Like it's almost like you're talking to someone else, like, look at this. What am I supposed to do with this? I feel like with the hand up and the sword, like what is this? Like what? No. So if that's what's coming up for what you are resisting, is needing to tell people to cut it out. Cut it out. Oh man. Okay. Next we have what needs to be released. Aw, 6 of Cups. Okay, so this card is a card of nostalgia. This card is also a card of reciprocity. And so what I'm feeling is that like when there's not reciprocity, that's the indicator for you to know that you need to release this situation, these people, this circumstance, this drama. This might be someplace that like if it's a job that you have, like you might have a lot of kind of nostalgic feelings for this place. Maybe you've worked there for a really long time. Maybe you've like come up through like the ranks in this place, in this, you might have gotten multiple promotions. Like you might have like really good friends there. So that nostalgia feels like it's hard to leave. This could be, again, like I said, family or friend drama, where there's this part of you that really remembers these beautiful, tender times, when like, it's like the rose-colored glasses, right? That we're looking at these people, like our heart is looking at them through this really kind of sweet, nostalgic energy, because we have this older sibling giving a younger sibling some flowers, and it's just very like sweet and just tender and receptive and like adorable. And so it might have started out like this, and this is how you might wish that it could be, but the reality is that this is how it is right now. And we've got the 5 people here, we've got the 1 person here. 5 plus 1 is 6. So it almost feels like you guys used to be very cohesive, and then something happened where everything got chaotic and you had to pull away from this, because I feel like you don't like this energy. Like I think sometimes there are people that enjoy it. Like there's people that are like, oh, it's exciting to have a little drama. I feel like you're almost one of those people that like you don't even watch reality TV shows because you don't like this drama at all. Like you don't like it when it's fake. You don't like when it's on reality TV, and you especially don't like it when it's happening like right in front of you in your energetic field. Like that really bothers you. So I feel like the connection really has devolved away from what it started out as. And I think that like when we even look at this Queen of Swords, like she almost has like a little bit of sadness, like her eyes look a little bit sad, the way they're kind of downturned. And even like this little cherub, and he's mad. This guy's big mad. Like I feel like it's just kind of like you have a heavy heart about this right now. And I can totally see why, right? Because it's like, how did things get so bad? Like what the hell happened? Like how did it go so bad? And I'm really sorry. For what that's worth. Like I can feel the heaviness in my chest from this. So this is the thing that needs to be released. This kind of this attachment to the good old days, like the choice of continuing to see things through the rose-colored glasses, like almost the denial that the situation is not this anymore and that it's become this. And so next we have, how are you evolving? Okay, so we've got this Four of Pentacles. We can see there's only one person here, and they are clinging really tightly to what they have. And so it feels like, you know, normally with the Four of Pentacles, there's this feeling of scarcity. But to me, this feels like what you're learning is that, like, you're evolving into a version of yourself that is learning how to become a little bit more self-reliant, but also getting a little bit more comfortable being in your own energy and by yourself. If you're someone that's always, you know, had like a really big friend group and that like you don't want to leave this because it's hard to be alone, I think one of the ways that you're evolving, you know, is in seeing like how capable that you are, you know. 4 is the number of stability. You know, when we look at like a table or a chair, typically it's got 4 legs, you know, and that makes it stable, like the 4 corners of a home, right? That's this 4-sided structure is typically seen as like the most structurally integrous, you know, like the strongest. And I feel like you're, you know, this person is sitting on this kind of square concrete pillar as well. Like you're learning how much strength you have in and of yourself, and almost like overcoming this fear of being alone, because it's not, I think the ego part of you is afraid that it's either, you know, we had this and we would give anything to go back to this, but it's almost like there's this fear that like, if I don't accept this, then I will end up by myself. And it's like this or that, either or black or white. And that's not, that's not, it feels accurate. It's not accurate. This scarcity isn't, the scarcity is that if I move away from what I know, what if there's nothing else in the unknown? You know, what if I never have this again? If I just hold on to this, it could change back to this. And what I feel like the evolution of you is experiencing is that when you make the choice to go on your own path, not necessarily like becoming solitary and like leaving behind everybody, like you don't have to be a hermit. That's definitely not what I'm saying, because we don't have any hermit cards here. But like once you start to evaluate, like, what do I need in connections? Like what makes my heart feel good? Like what kind of friendships do I want and what kind do I not want? When you take some time by yourself to really evaluate those things, then what happens is you start to attract much more of this as you're leaving this behind. Because the thing that drew you all together was this in the beginning, and it's devolved into this, which means it's no longer this, you know. And so reevaluating what it is that like you want and need in relationships is going to help you draw in more of this, you know. Like I said, the Queen of Swords, like she's an authority figure. She's powerful, but also because she's so high up, she has the perspective to see kind of like this bigger perspective, this long-term vision, right? Like she is able to look above this and see these kind of things happening out in the world, and realizing that like her experience of this that devolved into this isn't like a one-time thing, that there are lots of beautiful connections to be had in the outside world, like new people that she hasn't met yet, places she hasn't been. It reminds me of that meme that it says something like, you haven't met all the people that will love you yet. It very much feels like that. But I feel like a part of your evolution is to spend some time by yourself to figure out what it is that you want and need in relationships, as well as what you don't want and don't need anymore in relationships. And I would say even deal breakers that sometimes when we meet people like this, we don't realize that they look like this, they feel like this, and they become this. And so if I can give a very brief personal example, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, I can't remember. I had started to make friends with someone, and like we clicked really well. And then I invited her to my house, and I was still getting ready, and because we were gonna go somewhere, and it was like maybe like later that day or the next day or something like that. Like she had disclosed to me that while she was waiting downstairs, she essentially like went through my mail that was on my table, like, and it was stuff in envelopes. I didn't have it like laying out, but like if there's things I need to do with my mail, I'll look at it and then I put it back in the envelope and I'll leave it somewhere that I see it so I remember to do it. And so she just shared with me that she looked through my mail, and like we were very new friends, and like the way she said it was so nonchalant, and I thought the connection was like this in the beginning, and then I realized that over time, like after she said that and like other things that came up, that she was very much this energy. And I was like, oh no, like that's a huge red flag, that like a lack of boundaries, that like you don't know me very well and you're gonna look through my mail and then you're gonna tell me. Like, I was glad that she was honest, but it was like, wow, the audacity and like the lack of boundaries, and like that was a huge like deal breaker. No. So taking that time to really think about like, what is it from this situation that I do not want ever again, and what was it about this that I would love to have more of. So that is kind of this like quick look at like what you're resisting and like the direction that, you know, your soul's wanting to evolve. So let's get a message from your inner child. Okay, review your responsibilities. Oh, okay, not all responsibilities are ours to hold. Yeah. I feel like that's very, very spot on. You know, because we can see her looking at them, but also she hasn't moved from her chair. She's not getting up to take action. You know, it's almost like, what are you guys doing? Like, why is this happening? And like, what? I feel like this is giving big, like, what the fuck energy. And maybe in the past, like, maybe this is something that's happened multiple times with this group, where like you always step in and you're kind of the fixer or the rescuer, or like the smoother outer. That's not really a word, but with this inner child guidance, I feel like it's saying like, this is not yours to fix. You know, like, it's just because you're the one that sees, just because you're the one that's more mature and responsible and has a better perspective of things, doesn't mean it's your job to fix this. And I feel like, again, with this kind of Four of Pentacles scarcity energy, this really feels to me like, conserve your energy. Don't waste your time and energy on fixing something that's not yours. Let's look at your shadow guidance. Okay, again, interesting. So this is the Four of Cups, but it was in reverse. Four of Cups is a card of really like dissatisfaction, and kind of not being able to see, you know, that like, this is a very, like, typically you've got this person that's like looking at these three, and then this fourth cup is coming in, but this card is like discarding this one and not looking at the three that are here. And so it almost feels like your shadow self is saying there's more good things that are coming that you don't see. And so like, maybe you just need to toss what you know. You need to just let go of what you know, which feels like very counterintuitive. But again, we've got this 4 and 4, right? So we talked about the stability, like you're needing, your soul's wanting you to evolve into a more stable situation, stable position. And your shadow is also saying, like, from the perspective of like emotions and love, like it feels counterintuitive to let go of something when you don't know what else is coming, but it's right there. It's like right next to you, and that it almost feels like a dissatisfaction with this. Like, because looking at this person, they're just like, I'm done. And yeah. Yeah. Like, I feel like your shadow self is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't care. Like, I don't, gosh, it feels like that. Have you ever been like so done with something that you're not scared of the unknown as much as you're frustrated with like continuing to feel the pain of the current situation? Like, I feel like that's how I describe like like when someone is like completely done, that's how the energy feels to me, where it's like, I don't care that I have no idea what's coming. Anything is better than this. Just burn it down, throw it away. I don't care. Bring something else, whatever something else is. It's got to be better than this. And I feel like the shadow part of you is like, throw it away. Just throw it away. Let it go, throw it away. And like, to me, it feels to you like it feels destructive. And what I would say to that is that, like, we can't see what's in these cups, but we can see in this cup that there's like blood, right? And like, if you have ever like accidentally drunk out of maybe somebody else's cup, or a cup that you didn't know what it was, or if I've never had this happen, but I have been there when people have had this happen. Like when I was married, my ex-husband, like he was trying to quit smoking. A lot of his friends were trying to quit smoking. So they were doing dip, like the tobacco dip. And so it makes you spit. So you keep a cup, to the side. So you just spit in it. And there was one time we were all hanging out having a barbecue, and somebody accidentally took a sip of somebody else's like spit cup because it looked like their cup. And I feel like that's what it feels like. It's like you took a sip of this, you thought this was your drink, and you took a sip of it, and it's like, that is not mine. And like, just, like wanting to spit it out, wanting to throw away, wanting to get rid of it. I feel like your shadow is like, just toss it out. Like your shadow is just like, toss it out. Anything is better than this. An empty cup is better than the nastiness that's here. So I feel like I've really harped on that. So thank you for thank you for indulging me. Finally, I have a rest message and a dream message. So the rest message is, rest is my foundation to build, invent, restore, and imagine the world I want to see. And so there's a little message on the back here. You were enough before capitalism lied. You were enough before white supremacy lied. But violent systems have uprooted the self-esteem and self-worth of all exposed to them. As we uncover the lies we've been told about who we are, we must turn to rest. Rest is our foundation. You want a world rooted in justice, rest more. And I feel like this really aligns with that Four of Pentacles, like taking the time to, build, invent, restore, imagine, by yourself. Instead of trying to do all the things, because really capitalism is rooted in like doing the things. It's almost like rest is the, anti-capitalism, right? It's like the radical peaceful protest to these energies that are like, no, we have to do more. You have to fix this. You have to do the things because nobody else is doing them, because you just got to walk away. I feel like also we've got these two sailboats here, or these little canoes, which is, to me, it's very much like this moving on energy. And then finally we have a dream message, which is immerse. And we've got this really cute little book that's got, again, this, we've got this water and this boat. And so it almost feels like your inner child self is wanting for you to kind of dream, like dream where you want to go. Like dream what this next chapter is going to be, kind of daydreaming about the new connections and the new places and the new adventures that you're going to have. I feel like with, the imagery here being so similar, we've got like the moon, we've got the water, and just, I feel like the shadow part of you, is like, let's clear it out. Let's get rid of it, so that the inner child part of you has this really calm, peaceful space to like kind of dream about what they want, which will like allow you to rest and really determine what it is you want to bring into those new relationships, into the world that you want to create for yourself. So group number 1, this has been your reading about what you've been resisting, what's been kind of chaotic and going on in your life. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you did, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. If you feel called to share in the comments, I would love to see like what you have going on so that I can support you, because I feel like it's just kind of a bananas time right now. Can you see? You can't see that there's glitter on my finger. I'm so easily distracted. I am a child. What was I saying? If you feel called to share in the comments, I would love to read your comments and offer you any support that I can. Because I know that this is in the collective, and I know that this is a hard situation. So I hope that you guys have a lovely day, afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever you're going through right now. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So if you chose this little selenite snake, this is your reading. So let's look at what you are resisting in the present moment right now, as well as a clarifier. Okay, get all this out of the way. Okay, so we've got the moon and strength. So major arcana energy, big energies. The moon card is about things that we are not able to see. So it's a card of intuition as well. And so it almost feels like that, or you're getting this like really strong intuitive nudge that there's something, feels a little bit ominous, like there's something not great happening. It's almost like that feeling, it's almost like that feeling like when you know that you're being cheated on and you just haven't gotten the evidence to confirm how you're feeling. And so you're just kind of in that kind of icky energy of like, do I ask? Are they going to be honest? I don't know what to do. Like it just feels kind of shitty. And I'm sorry. And I totally get why you would resist that, because it's like, it feels like a lose-lose situation, right? It feels like I trust my intuition enough to know that something is off, and it might be something that like you might have already asked about it. You might, have asked this person or like people, whatever the situation is, you might have gone to them to like request like some transparency and honesty around something and gotten a response, but the response also doesn't sit right. It's like, they're not lying, but you also know that they're not being truthful. And so it's like, okay, well, what's the point of asking again? Because if you couldn't be upfront honest with me the first time, you're probably going to double down on denial or half truths or whatever. And so the thing with this moon card is that like whatever happens, like you are strong enough to move on from it, move away from it. Like, we have this really balanced energy of, she's got this fierceness of the lion here, and then the tenderness of the lamb here, and the tenderness of this like kind of, gentle, soft woman. And so like you're a very like emotionally balanced person. Like you are someone that's able to think with your heart and your head at the same time. Like you don't necessarily experience that tug of war like a lot of people do. like you're just a very decisive person. And I think that this situation has you so deep into your feelings that you forget that there have been many times that you've had to do hard things and you were fine. And it almost feels like the strength card has come through as a reminder, that like whatever happens, we're going to be okay because we've always been okay and we've done hard things. And like this moon card situation is not the most difficult thing that you've ever been through. And I'm not discounting whatever it is because I feel like it is heavy and it is hard. I think the reason that you're resisting dealing with it is just like the timing. Like the timing of like this thing, it's just like shitty timing is how it feels, right? Like, not that there's ever a good time for a breakup, but I mean, in the big scheme of things, like if you live with someone that you're dating and then like the relationship starts to kind of feel like it needs to end and like your lease is up in 2 months, like that's pretty not terrible timing, right? Like, not that you want to break up, but it's like it's way better than breaking up right after you guys renew a lease together. And so it feels like just the timing of it, of whatever this thing is, like that's really a big part of the resistance. It's a big part of why you're resisting accepting the reality of it. Like, because you don't, I don't know how to say this. Like, you don't need validation because you already know. And I think, like the world is like, well, you can't make assumptions and like, don't assume that you know things and blah, blah. But I think for you, like, especially because this moon card is so intuitive, like when you know, and you know that about yourself. And I think there's a part of you that also knows that you've kind of been in denial. You've been resisting seeing the reality of it. Like I said, it's just the bad timing. And it almost feels like this is something that's happened along with like a couple other like really not great things. And so it kind of feels like there's this part of you that is trying to deny what this last thing is because you don't want it to be like bad things come in threes, or like when it rains it pours. It's like, can I just get a break? Like, can I just get a break is kind of how it feels, and she's kind of fallen into this water and she's just kind of sinking, it's just like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I've had enough hard things. Like, can we just pretend that this isn't another hard thing that I have to do? And again, I'm going to go back to the strength card. Like, you have been through a lot of really hard things. And I also think that the longer you are kind of in this denial energy, like you're just going to get to the ending faster. Like, you don't have a high threshold for pain and suffering. And so like right now you might be in this place where it's like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And then you might wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, it is not fine anymore. And I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to speak my piece and take my stuff and I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore. And so, I think for you, this is just kind of a clarification, right? It's not necessarily that like you have to take action. Like, the action that you need to take and you're just not ready yet. And when you are ready, you will. So you just let me talk to you for 7 minutes about something that you already know about yourself, probably. So thank you. Okay. Next we have what needs to be released. Okay. 6 of Pentacles. Very interesting. I say it's interesting because since 6 of Pentacles is typically about reciprocity, and we've got this infinity symbol in the back, and then in the background, and we've got this person that, are they taking a coin? Are they giving a coin? What it feels like to me is that the person that's in this moon situation, like they've been taking and taking and you've been giving and giving, and it's like a never ending cycle. It almost feels like you've been waiting for them to reciprocate. Like, it's almost like there's this your mindset is that if I just give them an example of how they should act, then they'll get it and then they'll start to reciprocate, except for they won't. Unfortunately, like, because what happens, like the saying goes, we teach people how to treat us. So what has happened is that, like, you've taught them that as long as they take, you will replenish and give more. And I think that, excuse me, I think that you're in this space, like, especially with her kind of floating down, like you're tapped out, you're done giving, like, no, thank you. And I feel like that's the thing that needs to be released. Like, your open hand and your consistent giving, like you're being invited, you're being encouraged. It actually, like, you're being told really loud to, like, stop it. So, yeah. That's how it's coming through, is just like it's almost like a little bark, like, stop it. Like, that's how I'm hearing it. Because this is why we can't have nice things. Because you can't give to everyone. Like, some people don't know how to appreciate what is given. They only know how to take. And it feels like this is the person that you're in this situation with, that all they know how to do is take from you. It hasn't crossed their mind to say thank you or practice gratitude, or even think about, like, how does group number 2 just keep giving? Like, how do they keep giving? And I think that a big part of it is, like, that's who you are. But also, like, going back to this snake, you know, like, snakes are about change and shedding their skin. And it feels like there's a lot of shedding that you need to do in your identity as a giver. Because, like, as a giver, you don't have to give to everyone. But that also doesn't mean that you have to stop giving. Like, I am like you. I'm a huge giver. I love to give. But what I learned is that when you give things away for free, people don't value them. And so what I have learned to do is to look for reciprocity. You know, there's times that I just want to give, and I do. And then there's other times, like, when it's, like, in a relationship where, okay, like, an example is, like, the lady that I go to for massages. Like, I've been seeing this lady for 5 years, like, since I moved to North Carolina. And I have always ever scheduled an hour massage with her. And every single time she goes over the time, and she doesn't charge me extra. And so I always tip her, and I always try to, like, give her, like, a little something extra, like, around the holidays or her birthday. Because I feel like that's, like, that's how the relationship is. It's very, like, reciprocal, that, like, most places, like, you would get charged extra. You know, and, like, she just has, like, such, like, sweet mama energy. Like, she's just a giver. And so it's like, okay, as a giver who is receiving a lot of extra things, like, I want this to be fair and balanced, because, like, time is money. And also, like, the extra money that I give you shows how appreciative I am, that, like, I am grateful that you are such a kind person, right? I feel like anytime that people are super kind, I always, like, want to thank them, because if you have been alive any amount of time, like, you know that the world, life, shitty relationships, like, just being a human and experiencing life on this planet, there are, like, a countless number of excuses that you can use in your own personal experience for why you could choose to be cruel, right? That all of us have been through, like, some shit. And at any moment, like, we could choose to say, oh, well, I am mean to people because this thing happened to me and it really hurt me and I'm still hurt and I'm just going to hurt other people. Like, we could totally do that. And, like, but so many people don't. You know, so many people are just like you, and they give despite the pain of being taken and taken and taken and taken from. And so, to go back to what I was saying, you know, shedding that skin of giving to those who don't deserve it, and shifting to giving to those who appreciate you, and, like, looking for the people that appreciate you, and letting that appreciation and gratitude be the trigger for when you give extra, because you're always going to give, right? And so, instead of giving extra to this, I'm just going to say it, instead of giving extra to this shitbag, whoever they are, if it's your boss, if it's like somebody that you're dating, if it's, I don't know, I don't like them. Sorry. I think the thing that bothers me the most about them, the like, is this unethical for us to talk shit about somebody that is not being named? I don't know. The thing that I dislike the most about them, is that it has never crossed their mind, like, to think about like, how does group number 2 just like keep giving? Like, what kind of person just finds it in their heart to like give so much? Like, they don't, that has never crossed their mind, because I think what they think is that like, this is so funny to me. They This is why I feel like they're a shitbag. This person that has been taking from you is like, oh, finally, somebody is giving me all the things that I think I'm entitled to. Like, there's so much in their ego that they really don't understand that there's like an energetic and karmic balance to everything. That like the good is attracted to the good, right? And that like when the good is met with like bad, there's a disconnect, and eventually like the connection is going to break. And did I just call them a bad person? Kind of, you know, I mean, I'm not saying they're like a murderer, but they're also like, they're just ungrateful and entitled. And I don't, I don't like it. I'm sorry. This is not about me. This is about you. But okay, so you're shedding focus self. You're shedding your skin, and like the thing you're being asked to release is overgiving. Okay. Let's look at how you are evolving. Ooh, 2 of Wands. I like this. Okay. So you are evolving out of this kind of, this almost feels a little bit like victim energy, from the perspective of like, you've been worn down, you know, like I'm not saying that you're a victim, but this situation, whoa, oh gosh. Sorry, little guy, sorry. This situation has exhausted you and worn down your defenses essentially. And so you're kind of like, whatever, I don't care. But what you're evolving into is someone that's very, very intentional about what they're doing, where they're going, what they want, what they don't want. 2 of Wands is a card of just really like kind of making a plan, and daydreaming at the same time. So it's kind of like, you know, we've got this globe here, and there's the 2 wands, which kind of represent the different directions that you could go in. And we can see that like she's holding on to one, she's leaning more towards one than the other. It also feels like a very divinely supported space to be in, because these remind me of like, well, they're like walking sticks, right? And so it's like almost like crutches, where you need 2 of them to be really kind of stable. But with this like globe here and this little van and this surfboard, like what it feels like to me is like the world is your oyster, and you're evolving into this place where you just kind of let yourself kind of like daydream and imagine your life, where it's like, if I could go anywhere, where would I go? I don't know, maybe I'd go to France. Ooh, what would it be like to live in France? And like, and just like walk down the streets of Paris and like just eat a croissant, or like go to the Louvre, or like be there in the springtime, or like, I don't know, just like talk to my friends about, or have people visit me when I live there. Oh man, that would be so fun, you know? Or like, what if I just like bought a van and lived in a van? Like, what would that be like? And just like letting yourself kind of daydream. And once you kind of in the process of daydreaming, like there's going to be something that almost catches your attention, catches your mind, and that's what will pull you in the direction that you're meant to go, right? So let's say you are thinking about like living in a van, and it's like, oh, no, because I don't think I would enjoy that. I think it'd be fun to like do a road trip. So maybe I could do that instead. Let me call my bestie and see if like maybe next summer we could do a road trip. Yeah, that sounds really good. But living in a van, no. I like toilets. Or, you know, like thinking about like, maybe you don't want to live in Paris, but you want to visit. and you know that, like, I don't know, your cousin has always wanted to go and that they just got a promotion. And so maybe you guys can start doing your trip planning so you can save up and, like, you know, be able to go and have this vacation. So it's almost like it feels like there's, you know, there's not pressure to, like, figure out, like, where do I have to live? But it's like, oh, what if this? And like, ooh, what about that? And like, oh, I could do that. Okay, oh yeah, I know that, like, my bestie wants to do this. Like, we should definitely talk about that. And so that's like the space that you're evolving into, which is really beautiful. I feel like you're giving so much more to yourself than to others, you know? And I think too, with her hand wrapped around this, there's the wand, instead of being open like here and here, it feels like, it feels like you're so much more intentional. Like, you're evolving into this really intentional energy around giving, you know, that instead of feeling like you no longer feel obligated to give to whoever wants to take, like, you're very intentional about who you give to, not like in a judging way. It's not like, oh, I've deemed you worthy of giving you something. It's not like that. You know, it's like, it has to do with value. Like, you value yourself so much more. You're evolving into this person that, like, just your self-value has increased so much that, like, you understand what your time and energy are worth. And you also understand that, like, not everyone is capable of appreciating that, and not everyone is capable of receiving that. And that, like, it's almost like you've let go of this compulsion to give yourself away, which is very interesting. Okay, so let's look at your inner child message. It's time to celebrate. Cultivate an air of celebration today. I like that. I like that. So maybe this kind of future planning, you know, because we've got what do we have here? What? Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay, so we've got 2 friends here and a butterfly tiger. What? Yes, absolutely. And a waterfall and the moon. Come on, in a field of flowers. Okay, so it feels like, you know, kind of talking about, like, going on a trip with your cousin, or doing a road trip with your best friend. Like, it feels like your inner child absolutely wants to have, like, that fun time, that celebration time, like, just really enjoying time with someone that is a lot like you, because all 3 of these have little butterfly wings, right? But, like, these 2 women, you know, look very different. And then also there's a tiger. Like, it's magic and fun and chaos, and I'm here for it. I fully support this. So maybe you got a friend that's, like, a little bit weird, and, like, you guys get together and do, like, weird fun stuff. So yeah, it's your inner child wants to do more of that. And then I have a message. Well, I was asking for 1 message from your shadow self, but they had 2. So let's see what they are. Okay, so we've got the 3 of Wands, just after the 2 of Wands, and then the Tower in reverse. And so your shadow self is saying, so this is the Tower upright. The Tower upright can be when an alien comes out of the sky and breaks our tower. No. Tower upright is something unexpected, like an unexpected ending. It can be really hard. Tower in reverse is us creating our own ending. And so I feel like your shadow self is saying, like, it's time to go. Like, we gotta go. And I almost feel like this is really the reversal is perfect, because I feel like this is you saying, no, thank you. I don't want that anymore. And this is that, this is that shitbag person falling away. Because you aren't holding your hand out to them anymore for them to take from you. You know, you've got both hands open and you're like, no, I have nothing else to give you. And they're like, oh no, I am ridiculous. Okay. And then this 3 of Wands, which is such a weird 3 of Wands, because it's going in his belly button. This whole deck is weird, which is why I love it. But obviously 3 of Wands comes after 2 of Wands. 3 of Wands is a card of kind of managing things. You know, 2 of Wands is like considering, planning, choosing. Three of Wands is taking the action on something and really kind of managing and analyzing it, because we've got, we've got this person that's really connected to all three of these wands, but they're looking very intently at like what's happening. And I feel like with this, they've got this kind of cloak on that looks very different than their actual face. And so it feels like your shadow self wants you to really like kind of analyze things privately. Okay. Sorry. The thing that came through is your shadow self doesn't want you to tell that person that you're ending it. It's because I feel like your shadow self, it's a part of you, right? So like this part of you that's like in denial, and then also the part of you that's like we talked about in the beginning, like, should I ask what's going on? I know they're not going to tell me the truth. And like, your shadow self is kind of on board with all of that. Like they're feeling the same way that you do. And it's almost like that might be your shadow self speaking up, that like, okay, do we even want to ask? Because they're not going to tell us the truth. And we already know we don't need more information. Like we just need to act. Like we don't need to, like, it's almost like you can put on a brave face and then we're going to do something different than what this person is seeing. And I feel like for some of you, that might feel really malicious. So if that doesn't align with your values, you have to make the best decisions for yourself. But I think for others of you, it almost feels like, what's the point in talking about it anymore? Because we've had this conversation so many times. It's almost like, it's almost like if you are in a relationship and they cheat on you and then you take them back and they promise that they'll never do it again, but then they do it again. And it's like, okay, so what are we doing? Like, are we just going to talk about it again and you're going to make another empty promise? Like it's almost like that's what your shadow self is saying. Like, just move on. Like, we don't need to have a conversation. Like, let's analyze the things that have happened, with this full moon kind of spotlighting those things. Full moon, it feels like, even this could kind of be a full moon. It kind of feels like your shadow self is trying to illuminate some things for you. And like, gosh, I feel like your shadow self sees themselves as a whistleblower to you, in regards to this person. I feel like your shadow self is like, hey, here's all the evidence. Like, this is everything that I've collected. And I've been looking at this because I'm in the background, right? I'm like kind of in the shadows. You don't really pay attention to me, but like, this is everything that I've collected. And I'm not in denial, right? Like, your shadow is not attached to this person the way that you are. And so I feel like your shadow is like this whistleblower. They're like, hey, here's all the facts. And like, this is the reality, And so I think that's why your shadow is like, just move on. Like, there's not a need for a conversation. Like, obviously you can have one. I mean, like, hey, I'm leaving, or, I mean, you can try to talk it out, but I think, like I feel like you're just done. You're just done. And there's better things to move on to. There's better things for you to focus your time and energy on, than this like guessing game situation. Next, we have the rest card. And so the message is, I will swaddle myself in rest. I will gather myself in rest. Today, make time to care for your physical body. Wrap yourself in warmth. Notice where your body is tender or tired. Love yourself. Love your body. It does not belong to capitalism. You don't need to push, challenge, or force. Rest is your natural state. Rest is liberation. Return to you. Let rest hold you in this moment. Trust in what rest is waiting to offer you. Hold rest like a guiding light. How this says, sorry, my throat did something weird. How this says, I will swaddle myself in rest. Like, to me, this really feels like, it makes me think of the way you would like swaddle a baby, like how you kind of like wrap them up in like a little burrito. So they're like super cozy. And like that kind of feeling of coziness like just helps them like drift to sleep. Like I feel like you probably need a hug. And so if you have someone that is not the shitbag, that, you know, you can go to for a hug or for some comfort, even if it's like talking to a friend on the phone, that which can be like an emotional, like a heart hug. If you have like a stuffed animal, you know, maybe carrying that around for some comfort, taking a nap. I'm getting like big nap vibes, you know, and I feel like this very much matches, you know, she's kind of falling into this like kind of deep, almost like a deep sleep. So some of you might just need some extra rest, some extra sleep. And I think like when things are really stressful, like it's hard on our bodies, right? Just like this talked about, like love yourself, love your body, get some rest. I feel like, I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but like maybe some soup. It'll be like a hug for your tummy. And I'm sending you a big hug because I feel like you need one. And then finally we have this dream message, which is ponder. Yeah. I feel like that really matches this Two of Wands card too, you know, where she's just kind of looking out and daydreaming. We've got this globe and like this kind of bowl here. And just, you know, maybe you cuddle up on the couch and watch a movie. Maybe you cuddle up on the couch with a journal, or you daydream, or maybe you like go for a walk and stare out the window. But I feel like there's this kind of encouragement, this nudging, this invitation to just kind of let yourself sort of daydream, you know, just kind of letting yourself think about anything aside from this. I feel like you've thought about this for far too long. And like you can't solve it. I know you want to. I can feel that you want to. And I'm sorry that you can't. Like you can't fix it or solve it. And so I feel like allowing your mind to have a little break, you know, and like this could even be like reading a book. Like some of you might really enjoy reading and you've gotten away from that, and like maybe there's like a really, I don't know, good fiction book that you've been wanting to read, and like maybe you go to the library and check it out and get your blankie and read all afternoon or read all weekend. So yeah, I feel like you're moving away from this kind of really difficult energy and you're moving into this like kind of softness and rest. Excuse me. Yeah. So group number 2, this has been your reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. I wanted to say thank you for letting me read cards for you. If you enjoyed the reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. If there's anything that you feel called to share about the readings or the reading and you want to leave a comment, I always enjoy your comments. And if I can support you in any way, let me know, because I feel like this is heavy, hard energy, but you are a lot stronger than you feel right now. And if I can just remind you of how strong you are, even if you don't feel strong, you're very, very strong. Your energy is very strong. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So if you chose this little owl guy, this is your reading. Do I want to put him like this? No. Oh, I want you to see him. Okay, so let's take a look at what you are resisting in this present moment. Okay, so we've got 3 of Cups. It's a card of celebration, and the Fool, new beginnings. Okay, so I feel like you have completed something really significant, but you're having a hard time moving forward. Like you have been wanting to complete something for so long, and you completed it and you were really successful. You did really well. But now you're struggling to like take that first step towards something different. And part of it feels like a little bit of like the fear of the unknown. Some of it feels like a little bit, some of it feels like a lot of nostalgia. Like there's a lot of nostalgia and like really lovely, positive feelings for this thing that you completed. I was going to say this thing you collected. I don't know if that makes sense for some of you. Like maybe there's something that you received after the completion of something else. Like we've got all these cups here that look like trophies. You know, some people collect like trophies and accolades, and like they have their little, you know, like walls and presentations and things like that. Maybe that's something that like you, let's say you graduated, right? So you have your diploma and you've hung it up and you see it all the time. But it's like, there's this, it feels like there's a longing to go back to that. Almost like, I wish I hadn't finished it so that I could just be there. And I feel like that's what's preventing you from moving on and moving forward, is that you're, that like you're just kind of sort of like drowning in a little bit of not drowning, but like you're really deep in the nostalgia right now. And I feel like the resistance isn't in moving forward. Like the resistance is in releasing the emotional hold that the past has on you. Oof, I feel personally attacked. Maybe this is my reading. That there's, I think that the last chapter you just completed was so emotional. It's not necessarily that it was the best chapter ever. Like there were really hard parts of it, and there were really amazing parts, and there were really lovely parts. But when you were in the past, you couldn't wait for the future. And now that you're on the precipice of the future, there's this part of you that's like, but I'm not done. I'm not done here yet. I don't want to go. And it feels like the energy makes sense, because if you're watching this in real time, like we are in a Mercury retrograde until like the 25th or 26th of April. And so that might be the energy that's like keeping you in that kind of nostalgic feeling, like really reflecting on the past. Another part of you, I feel like, is just learning, like, you're learning how to savor things. And I don't think that you understand that's what you're doing. I think that like there's a lot of nostalgia around like the past, right? And so I think if you watch tarot card readings a lot, or if you've done any kind of like personal spiritual work, like those environments talk a lot about releasing the past, and like don't let the past hold you back, and don't live from your past. And so I think that can be some of the resistance too, because it gets convoluted, right? Because when we want to live in the past, that can look like a couple different things. Like in relationships, when we're stuck in the past, what that can look like is that like we keep trying to like get back with our ex, or like we compare everybody to our ex, or when we date new people, we're afraid that they will hurt us the way someone else hurt us. When we're kind of stuck in the past, like maybe we dress like we did 20 years ago still, because you know, maybe that's just the style that we like, right? So like our music taste is just like stuck in the past, and like it's not necessarily bad, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with listening to like Supersonic by JJ Fad when you're in the gym, you know? Maybe that's your thing, maybe that's not. It's my thing. You know, and so it's like that's a part of me that's like still stuck in the past, like that my gym self likes to work out to like really old hip hop, because that's, I don't know, it's just fun for me. It reminds me of being young, and like yeah. But you know, so those are some ways that like it's not terrible to like be in the past, you know, but we really are kind of like, in the spiritual community, there's so much about like release the past, move on for the past is bad. And I feel like you are learning how to savor the past, which is very different, right? So it feels like you're in this reflective energy of like, yes, there's nostalgia, because there's like the nostalgia is like these really positive feelings for like what already happened. But I think the difference is like with the savoring, it's like savoring is like when you get a piece of chocolate and like you just kind of, you put it in your mouth and you don't chew it, like you just kind of let it dissolve, you know, in your mouth, like it maybe like, you know, like you almost like kind of suck on it instead of like chewing it, and like you're just really like enjoying the flavor of it instead of like chewing it and swallowing it, where there's like, yeah, I could tell it's chocolate, but like prolonging the enjoyment of it, I feel like is what savoring is. And so I feel like that is a little bit of the energy that you're in, where you just want to prolong the enjoyment of like having completed this. Like you just want to you don't want the celebration to end, not necessarily that you're like, we got to go out and party and celebrate this, but like being in that energy of just like trying to like extend, like to prolong the enjoyment of completing something. And so that is a little bit of resistance to starting this new thing. And I didn't do this with the other groups because it didn't really come up, but I feel like this is energy that you're just going to be in for the month of April. Like it just feels very much connected to the Mercury retrograde and even kind of the eclipse cycle, because the Fool is new beginnings. Like the Fool is the first card of the tarot. So like you have closed out a chapter. Really, you've closed out a book, and it's like when you finish a really, really good book or a really good movie and the ending sticks with you, and like you find yourself thinking about it for like a couple weeks after. Like your brain is still kind of churning on it. Like, wait, was it this? Or like, oh, should I rewatch that? I might go back and rewatch it because I think I have a theory. And so it feels like that's the energy. Like it feels like that's what energy is you're in. That is the energy that you are in. And what's coming up is this Fool energy, like you're on the precipice of starting a new book. And so I feel like this card is a little bit more of like almost like not a future warning, I don't want to say that, but I feel like the universe is like, hey, you're like, I get it, you're okay here, but come May, we have some things to do. We got places to go, we got people to meet, we got some things to do. And like this little red checkered flag reminds me of like race cars, how they like wave the flag when it's time to go. I think the checkered flag is at the end. But this checkered flag kind of reminds me of like when they wave the flag for people to take off, where it's like, hey, you know, come May, we got some things to do. So you enjoy yourself, you know, you savor this, like you enjoy it, but you can't stay there forever. And I don't think that you do. I think there's a part of you that wants to. I think there's a little bit of fear of the next chapter, fear of doing something new, which is totally normal. Like I feel like it's very natural to fear the unknown. Uncertainty is really difficult, you know, for us as humans to navigate. But just reminding you that like you're divinely supported, right? Got this eye here, all these eyes. Yeah. So this is what you are resisting in the present moment. Next is what needs to be released. Ooh, Ace of Cups. Okay. Interesting. So Ace of Cups is a card of new beginnings around love. But with this Ace of Cups, like all the water is pouring out of this cup. It's really like gushing out of this cup everywhere. And it feels like this is a really kind of a weird message. Don't waste your love in places that it doesn't belong. Don't waste your love in places that it doesn't belong. And I'm getting, okay. I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. I feel like it's coming through really jumbled. In the past, you would like, this is giving me like a lot of needing approval energy in the past. In the past, like you might have been in this chapter, you might have been giving everything from your cup and there was no left over for you, because you were taught that's what you do. You have to give everything, like you giving everything and like showing and sharing all your abundance like in excess is how you earn love and approval. It also camouflages the fact that you don't fit in. And I think that when we're so busy giving our love to everyone else, we can't give it to ourselves. And that's why it's almost like there's this aching around not fitting in. It's like there's a part of you that knows that you're very distinctly different than everyone else. And I feel like you really love that about yourself. But somewhere in there, someone, something, some message you got was that you have to fit in at all costs. And so I think what you learned to do was, this is such a weird phrase, you learned to curry favor from people. And so essentially what that looks like is you learned how to overgive so that people saw you as valuable and your differentness wasn't a threat. And you're being told to let that go. That, ooh, this is harsh. I'm sorry. Like, fitting in with the wrong people doesn't matter. Like, there's no love lost in leaving the people that don't align with you. There's no love gained in winning the favor of people who you don't respect. And so I think I feel like in the times that you're kind of reminiscing and you're nostalgic, like this is going to keep coming up. Like that, you know, there's this part of you that wants to hold on to like the really good times of it, but like the reality of needing to like shift and change, it's just going to keep coming up. You're going to keep seeing these reminders of like how you gave yourself away to fit in. And I feel like that, like, it's very interesting because this is not a release, like this is not an action you need to take to release. It's this thing that needs to be released is going to continue to confront you. It's just going to keep confronting you. And I feel like it's going to confront you a lot in the way that you look at relationships of the past. And so I feel like this kind of message that like, hey, come May, we need to move forward. I don't think it's going to take you that long. I think that you're going to be doing this processing in April, and that like as the time goes by that you're seeing how so many things from the past were tainted by this need to fit in. Like that is going to, it's going to help you release that need to fit in, but also like it's just going to help you be done with, it's going to essentially be, it's a way of closing out that book. Yeah. And then next we have how are you evolving? And we've got the High Priestess. Oh, lovely. Okay. So High Priestess she is highly intuitive. She's very tapped into universe, higher self, lots of wisdom, lots of intuition, like just this really beautiful balance of knowing from experience and knowing from divine guidance. It's like the best of, it's like this really kind of magical integration that, yeah, and it feels like this is leading you to, it's part of your evolution. Okay, I'm getting excited. Let me explain. this Ace of Cups, this is the divine part of it. Like there's this divine influence, nudge, I don't want to say intervention because it's not an intervention, but it's like the still small voice of the universe is going to come into this nostalgia and be like, you know, like, oh man, I totally remember this relationship that I had that was so beautiful. And like, I really remember these good times. And then it's like the universe is going to be like, yeah. And then you remember how they like took so much from you. And that like, that wasn't very nice. And then you remember how like that thing happened and they weren't there to support you, even though you were there to support them when something happened. Yeah. Yeah. And like, it's like the universe isn't bringing these things up to like be negative or like make you feel like you did something wrong or that you made bad choices. It's trying to teach you how you can see things from your own experience and also get some divine perspective on it, right? Because like, you know, as human beings, like we love the past because it's certain. We know exactly what happened in the past. It's completely certain. There's no uncertainty to it because it already happened. It can't be changed. In this new chapter where you're going, you have no idea where you're going. You don't know what's going on. I mean, you know what's going on, but not like in the long term, you know, or you might be in a place of like complete uncertainty where it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Where am I going to work? Do I have to work? I mean, well, maybe. Like, what do I want to do? I don't know. What do I have to do? I don't know. And so that's, you know, like really big uncertainty can be hard. And so I feel like in this releasing the overdoing, what you're doing is essentially like opening the doorway. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. You're opening the doorway for this high priestess version of yourself to start coming in, because it almost feels like the high priestess is your high self. And it's almost like I feel like this is giving me like what is it? Two-way mirror? Like they have in like the movies, the cop movies where it's like you can see through it on one side but not the other. So like the cops can see in and then like the person being interviewed can't see out. It feels like the high priestess, your higher self, is looking in, and like you and the universe are in a room together, like sorting out this stuff. And it's almost like she's watching and like she's waiting for when the right moment is to come in. And it looks like merging. Like you and your high priestess self are going to merge, but you're not ready yet. This is like such a weird vision. But I feel like that's what's that's what's happening. I hope it makes sense, because it's like obviously your high self is always ready for you to evolve into a higher version of yourself, but like because you have free will, like your high self, your high priestess is not going to force that on you. And so it's almost like she is waiting for the universe to get you primed to be in the right spot where where the two of you can like overlay and match up. Yeah. It's like the universe is working to get you to the right place at the right time for this to happen. But it's like that's what you're moving towards over the course of really this month. So yeah. Yeah, you're evolving into this really balanced person that can take the experiences they have and be open to receiving divine guidance and pair them together to make the best choices for themselves. So in in this Fool energy, like this new book that you're moving into, just know that like you will know what to do. You will know where to go. Like you'll know when you're ready, because you will know. I feel like it's so kind of like abstract, but I feel like it's like you'll know in your bones what you're supposed to be doing. And I hope that's a comfort, because I feel like if you haven't felt that before, hearing someone say it, it's like, okay, cool. Like, are my bones going to be tingly? Is it going to feel like an achy knee? Like what is this? But like all I can tell you is that like when you know, like you will know. And like when you know, you're probably going to think back and be like, "Huh, that's weird." Yeah, that's how else do you explain it? I absolutely know right now. Like good job. Tarot hands lady. Okay. So next let's look at a message from your inner child. It is okay to be misunderstood. Yes. Perception is not always based on truth. Being different is not bad. And if people don't understand you, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you're just unique and magical. You're welcome, world. You know, group number 3 is just magic. What do you guys want? Yeah, and your inner child is really like saying like, even if other people don't like you, I like you. I like us. You know, like it's just, your inner child is just like really, really sweet. And I also love that there's this like waterfall from nothing. And we have this waterfall here. Come on, I can't. Yeah, so I think your inner child kind of likes like being a little bit of a weirdo. Like I feel like it makes them giggle. Like when people kind of react to you, like it's almost like when people don't know how to react to you because they have an idea of you in their mind. And then sometimes you'll share who you really are with them. And the perception of who you are doesn't match who you really are. And they kind of don't know what to do. I feel like that cracks your inner child up so hard. Like I feel like it looks like the little kid from Calvin and Hobbes, like rolling around on the ground, just like cracking up, kind of pointing at that other person like, oh my God, look at their face. Look at their face. It's so good. So, oh my gosh, you have an adorable inner child in case nobody's ever told you. Okay. So message from your shadow self is you see, we got the 6 of Swords here in reverse. 6 of Swords is about moving on. This deck cracks me up. We got a little fire island over here and we're going to this place that's not on fire. With it being in reverse, I feel like your shadow self is really like, your shadow self is saying, hey, we have to move on, but I know that you'll do it in the right time, you know? So I feel like your shadow self is just kind of, just wanting to show up in the reading in a really supportive way that like, it's almost saying that like, hey, I know you're not going to settle here. You're not going to settle in this nostalgia of the past, and that like there's things you need to do here. And I trust you that when you're ready to move forward, we're going to move forward. So I feel like that's such a beautiful shadow message that they're like, got your back, homie. And I feel like if I know like a lot of people aren't keen on like inner child and shadow work, but I feel like if it's something that you've been scared to delve into, please don't, because like you have a really like supportive shadow self. Like, I don't want to say that not everybody has that. Like I know when I started doing shadow work, like my shadow self was the little girl version of me. And like, it was heartbreaking to work with her. Like, because I didn't realize how much I had betrayed myself. And that was it was really hard work to like look at that. And like, she wasn't mean, you know what I mean? Like she didn't really trust me, which I totally get. It took a long time for me to earn my inner child's trust. But in the early times of like doing that shadow work and having like this really super just sad version of a little Kathy come out like that is probably like, I feel like it was the most painful but the quickest way that anybody could have learned self-betrayal, is like seeing this kind of version of myself as like a little kid that was just really like abandoned and neglected, and like it was really hard. And so I understand that that's why a lot of people are scared to do inner child and shadow work, but like your inner child is totally an adorable little trickster. They're fun. They're really fun. And then your shadow self, your shadow self has a lot of wisdom and a lot of patience. They have a lot of kindness towards you. Like I feel like your shadow self is just very compassionate. Like I feel like they're looking at me and just nodding, and they're like, I get it. I get it. Like, I get it. Like, it's just so kind. Oh, I love that for you. I love it. So yeah, if you ever want to tap into your inner child or your shadow, if you need some extra love, compassion, support, shadow self very much feels like a really loving, almost like parent, grandparent guide. Very non-judgmental, very compassionate. In a really weird way, I feel like your shadow self is like someone that's lived a lot of like different incarnations, and like they are really tuned into the human experience and how hard it is. I don't know if everybody's shadow self is like a guide. Like I said, my shadow self was my inner child, and then I also had other inner child work that I did. But yeah, so like anytime you need like compassion, support, non-judgment, just like someone in your corner, you know, like if you feel like you messed up and you just need someone to kind of confide in, your shadow self is absolutely there for that. If you ever want to have some more fun and maybe play pranks, harmless pranks on people, I feel like your inner child is like yes to all the pranks. And your inner child is just like super fun, just like very silly, very fun, just really I like them. They're cracking me up. They like to dance. So if you ever want to connect to your inner child, if you want to do a little living room or bathroom dance party, that they would love that. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. Next, we have your rest message. And so it says, how will I be useless to capitalism today? And that is a quote by Bronte Velez. And the message of the card is meditate on this quote and consider the small ways you can divest from grind culture today. It will not be easy. Liberation in a culture fueled by disconnection and individualism is never easy. Rest is a resistance because it disrupts the dominant narrative. You can decide to disrupt capitalism every day in small moments and small actions. Rest is your true power. And so I feel like with any good in preparation for any good journey, we need to make sure that we get well rested, you know. So if you're going on a road trip, you know, you would want to get a full night of sleep so that you know, can stay awake and drive. If you were going to go for a hike or go for a run or go on some kind of adventure, you would want to make sure that your body's rested. So I feel like this is a time that you're just being encouraged to rest your body, rest your mind, take whatever time it is that you need to rest and relax, because this next chapter that you're going to begin, I feel like in May, you know, is this big, we got this big feat. There's some big things that you're going to be doing. There's some big steps you're going to be taking. So it's almost like stockpiling a little bit of rest in the month of April. And then finally we have a dream card, which is barrier. Okay. So I feel like with this overgiving, it might be, I feel like this is just an encouragement to work on boundaries. And I feel like your high self is definitely, or your shadow self might be your high self. You got high priestess, a lot of elevated, evolved energy. And with this shadow card, we've got this body of water here as a boundary, just like this river between the, how do I do this? Between the past that was a little bit fiery and chaotic and this calmer new space that you're moving into. And so I feel like it's kind of the same message, right? That like you're being encouraged to put up a boundary to just kind of separate giving for the sake of being accepted and giving because that is an authentic act that you want to do. I feel like with this water being the boundary, the water coming out of the cup, that just being open to learning the difference between the two is how it feels. Yeah. Yeah. I feel the need to flip this back over. How will I be useless to capitalism today? You might have some boundary stuff around work. Because, you know, the system of work that we're in says that you have to stay busy. Because that's how the machine works, right? Like if we're not actively producing, creating, overdoing, then like, are we doing anything? Yeah, we're doing lots of things. We're resting. Like, mind your business, capitalism. So, for what that's worth. Yeah. So group number 3, this has been your reading, and apparently my reading too. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I want to say thank you for letting me read cards for you. If you enjoyed the reading, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. If you feel called to share a comment about this reading, I would love to read it, as well as know how I can support you if you're having a difficult time with this. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it's kind of helped bring some clarity around what you might be resisting, and if nothing else, understanding like what you're evolving into, which is always really lovely. And to know that you have a really supportive shadow self, and a really supportive inner child. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.